Hey, thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries Market. You've reached Jay. Leave a message after the tone.
Beards.
Good evening. This is Beards and Sundries Podcast News, your one-stop news shop every Sunday, with your host, Jay. Another host, Anthony. And another host, Joe. We're your Beards and Sundries hosts and news anchors for Season 5 of Beards and Sundries.
And welcome back to the Beards and Sundries News Network.
Hello! Welcome!
Welcome back.
All beards and almost no sundries.
Oh, I've only got one sundry.
Yes, we'll never get 6 out of 6, we know.
Chat piles.
But that's right, guys, it is time for another lunch break here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where 3 gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
My name is Jay, and I finally registered as a Democrat.
Yay!
Next!
Wow!
It won't be effective until like August 27th or later. But anyways, next, it's Funny Man Anthony. I had that in my notes from last week, and I was like, yeah, I'm so glad I wrote this down, because I would have forgot.
Circle back around to that here in a minute. I'm Anthony, a proud supporter of politicians who don't fuck couches.
Uh-oh.
Jay, put on your name badge.
Oh, yeah.
Now for style icon Jay Rowdybush.
My favorite part is how I remember this every week, but then we come to sit down, and I'm like, what badge?
And I'm Joe, and I feel like the nation was drowning in a big, dark sea of election indifference, and we have finally been thrown a lifesaver. Which means that today's sundry item is current events.
What?
Beardos, I certainly can't speak for everyone, but I couldn't help but feel like Joe Biden wasn't the best choice we could have made to defeat Donald Trump this November. Alas, he has stepped aside for Kamala Harris to be our main contender, and I, for one, am very excited. Today, we're going to chat about the current state of things, and after the break, we're going to talk about her pick for vice president and why this has been a very refreshing week so far indeed. Later on, we have a food-related something to check out this week, and then we're going to do a little something different to wrap up this week's lunch break. But before we check in on the race for the White House, how about this week's voicemail?
Who was that?
Beards.
It was me. I was driving home from some random errand yesterday, actually, I think, and I was like, you know what would be really funny? If I capitalized on our best review we have on Apple. So I called the market, and I left a quick voicemail so we'd have something in the pipeline this week.
You called the market? What number is that?
Oh, I don't know. Jay, what's the number?
It is 405-999-2242. My favorite part was somebody else called and left a voicemail just a few hours after you, but then I got a message that's like, delete that, I messed up.
I got that message too.
And to make Mom happy, I didn't get out my phone and dial the phone number. I actually told Siri to make the phone call from my driver's seat, so I wasn't on my phone while driving.
It's true. He's pretty good about that for the most part. It's Jay you got to worry about being on his phone while he's driving.
Yeah.
The worst part about it is I'm not even that bad with it. I picked it up barely on a 8-hour trip, and I'm getting ragged this whole time, but I'll take it.
8-hour trip. How fast were we going?
I wish I had recorded that because we're going 90 miles an hour through Houston, and Jay's on his phone with one hand on the wheel. He's like,
Yeah, the car stays in its own lane. It's fine. And the safety cruise is on even at 90. Fuck it, it's fine. We're fine.
I swear at some point he was like, out of my way, nature.
Yeah.
So honestly, I've been driving down to see my boyfriend in Houston right now, and yes, that is me. Like,
Well, I believe it.
And especially on my Wellbutrin now, that brings out just a hint of agitation. It's amplified while driving,
Just a hint.
and I'm like
Just a
on the
smidge.
road, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" But then, like for 4 hours, I'll be like, "La la 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 la," and then somebody will be driving slow in the left lane, and I'm like, "What are you doing?"
You need a left lane liberator is what you need.
I do, and I'm gonna turn both of my cars into one.
After you get some truck nuts.
On my Mustang and my Toyota Highlander.
You know, before we move on to the main topic, and while I'm thinking about it, I want to circle back to what you said at the intro, Jay.
Let's hear it, funny man Anthony.
I will not be equated to Ross Matthews. Not on this podcast, not on any other podcast. Unequivocally, no.
I didn't even think about it being Ross Matthews' intro. That's even funnier now.
Does that sound like a Ross Matthews rant to you?
It does, but you had to preface it with the little that he does.
Is this Anthony's Ross Matthews moment?
I think it's
I would
Anthony's
sooner-
book socks moment.
I would sooner have a Dave Matthews moment. Thank you.
No, Ross Matthews. You're such a funny man.
Anyways. Well, Joe, do you think I could find Ross Matthews' stupid fucking giggle in the Sundry Lab?
No, but you can find shreds and shreds of all the sequins from his ugly jackets from Anthony beating his ass in the aisle. But if you guys are new to the show and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the term comes from an Old English word meaning odds and ends. Now today, it's used mainly in retail as a way to group together items that don't typically have a group of their own. So, as three hopeful gay men with beards, we are using the term to group together the wide range of topics that we cover.
Could you imagine somebody just coming around the corner and they see Anthony just like pummeling him and they're like, "Hey, that's a hate crime." And he looks up as he's still holding on to a limp Ross Matthews and he's like, "I am a raging homosexual myself. This is fine." And then he's like,
And I'm raging right now. And I'm like, you don't have to call yourself funny, man, if you're really funny. This is like Eli Roth calling himself a master of horror.
He's like, the only part of this crime that's a hate crime is how much I hate this asshole.
"Oh,
You pull your fist back and there's so much fake tan on your hand. It's just cake
It's just fake tan and sequins.
and yeah,
Yes.
glitter."
and Ozempic. Ooh,
Oh,
ooh, not confirmed. Oop, can't say it for sure. He's losing weight through exercise and proper diet. That's the funniest joke I've heard on that show in years.
I'm down 8 pounds, and I've been exercising and let's not say proper diet, but I've been eating better.
I just need to lose just a little bit more to be back to normal. I like shot up when I went off my ADHD meds a little over a month ago, and I'm like, hey.
I saw my psychiatrist today, and she was like, "You've lost weight." And I was like, "I fucking better have. I've been eating salads for lunch every day."
I saw Jay pop on the screen and I was like, whoa, Merlin. Oh, that's just Jay. Just kidding. Just kidding. But speaking of Merlin and our other contender, Cough Drop Rapper, I don't know.
Drop
Do you guys
Rapper.
think that they should drop out of the race?
Oh
with
my
current
god, that
events?
reminds me. I thought about dropping a post that Merlin's dropping out of the race and putting and going for Kamala.
It's just that Cough Drop Rapper was recently exposed as killing a baby, I don't know, not a bear like RFK, but you know what I'm talking about.
Oh my god. That is the weirdest fucking story.
I know, I was like, what the fuck
Yeah.
is happening with this?
Like, and you know what's weird? Is I know that there's QAnon people out there going, "Of course they should take that bear for meat."
He didn't take it for me. He left it in the middle of fucking New York City.
He originally picked it up for meat.
Then why did he
Allegedly.
leave it in the middle? What was he like? Left it in Central Park or something?
Yeah, left it in Central
Yeah.
Park, made it look like a bike accident was his goal.
A bike accident?
But then
Like like a bicyclist hit a bear
and killed a bear.
killed the bear? Oh.
this is what I've read, and I have not source checked it, just to clarify, but that's my understanding. That was his goal, is be like, well, shit. I don't remember why he couldn't take it, though. He had originally planned to take it for meat and then changed his mind, put it by the bike stand, and then what's funny is I saw a meme today, I think, that was a guy posted on Twitter 10 years ago and said, who the fuck hits a bear or picks up a dead bear in the street, drops it in Central Park? What the fuck's happening? And then he goes, well, I got my answer, and he like reshared it. And it's just, what the fuck? That guy's running as an independent competitor against 2 other candidates now.
It's the independent candidate is just there to like just fuck the results at this
Yeah.
point.
So sometimes that can be a bad thing, but in this case, I think it's a really good thing. And here's my thing with RFK. He's so fucking crazy that the people that really do believe in him, I'd rather them vote for him than vote for Trump, because they're so fucking crazy that they could get Trumpers in their back pocket too. So I think that every vote he takes away from Trump and gives to himself is, 1, taking it away from Trump so he won't win, but 2, there's no way he's going to win anyway, knock on wood. But I think this is one of those cases where an independent taking votes away from one of the 2 candidates is actually a good thing.
Yeah, I was like, normally, I'm just like, a fucking independent. I don't want this to be a 2-party system. I understand why you would want to run as an independent, but if you're not gaining the traction you need
Yeah.
way prior to election, fucking quit causing problems. You're not going to win.
And you're just taking
But-
votes away from a good candidate.
Yeah, usually
But in
you're
this
taking
case, I
votes
fully support it.
from potential opportunities, and this time I'm just like, wait a minute. You're pandering to the right group that I want you to pander to this time.
Sure.
Yeah. Yep.
And normally I'm very disappointed in this, but please continue.
Yeah. It's like that South Park episode where they cut the head off a chicken and let it run around the little arena, and then that's what they decide to do. And that's basically how
the
he's
economic
writing
policy,
his tweets.
Like the economic policy like board, and they're that's
Yeah.
how they decide what to do whenever the economic like when Stan brings back his Margaritaville and they're trying to
Oh
figure out how
my
much it's
god,
worth.
that's what
And
it is.
the biggest blank that it always lands on is corporate bailout.
Yeah.
And I'm like, looking at you, airlines. Looking at you, Chrysler.
Yeah,
You know,
I
and
was gonna
what's-
say,
Motors.
American auto manufacturers.
What really stinks is I'm like, I get it. I get why the corporations are bailed out in one sense, because I'm just like, it's impacting a massive workforce, and if we knock all of those people out of work in an economy that's already suffering, I see why it's done. But what
Correct.
annoys me is these corporations that go out, is especially right now with this stock market situation where they're looking like it's going to be a recession. All these fucking corporations that have stomped around bragging about these record profits, I know that they have not set back money to prepare for this.
No.
At all.
And so they're all going to be like, bail me out if we do hit a heavy recession. And I'm just like, why am I supposed to only be the responsible one when all of these major corporations get all these fucking tax breaks and can't prepare for downturns?
Because just like Bernie Sanders always says, corporate socialism for big business and rugged capitalism for the rest of us.
Yep.
Yes.
What's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's literally what's happening. It's the same thing every
But
time.
they know what
it's
they're
always money.
doing.
It's always money.
They're just like, of course we can lay off these
Oh,
people.
yeah,
We're going to get all these
absolutely.
breaks from the government. Whatever. Like,
Yeah.
we know the loopholes.
Why
Yeah,
would they
so
change it if they're
that's
going to
what
win?
Gets me so irritated about it is because we don't regulate those businesses well enough to be able to say like, you mismanaged your money and now you're suffering from money mismanagement, and in real capitalism your business would fail because there wouldn't be anybody there to bail you out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what really drives me bonkers is this economy is so fucking sensitive as is.
Yep.
I don't think everyone realizes just how insanely delicate the global economy is.
It's a house of cards.
Delicate. It does not take... look at what COVID did. COVID shot us into this massive deep recession, and then we bounced into this massively high inflation. And inflation didn't fall as fast because why would companies drop prices when they're making record profits? That's why anytime I hear Bidenomics and how he's ruining the economy, I'm just like, I wish people had to take economy courses, because I didn't sit there and do macro and microeconomics and all these other economics courses to learn nothing.
Well, what's that tidbit about the education system in this country? About how it's, what's the word? Horrible? That's why they keep us stupid, keep us poor, keep us sick, and keep us fat. It's the 4 cornerstones of being an American citizen. If you have just enough money that you have to keep spending that money, but just enough money so that you still have enough money to be in this little delicate balance where you're one medical emergency away from financial ruin, you can keep spending just enough money over here that the companies still do well and get these record profits, but then they get to pay out, you know, their stockholders, their CEOs, their fucking team of people, but not all of their legions of workforce employees. They don't get all that benefit because they don't I guess deserve it in their viewpoint. I don't know. It's so fucked. Like, it's so angering to think about the system like that.
And that's why any sort of economy situation isn't usually my deepest focus in any presidential election, because I don't believe that a president has that much control over an economy. Although I do know that their policies that they push do have impacts, because George Bush's policy to deregulate banks is what created the 2008 housing crash.
Yep.
Which, of course, a Democrat had to go in office and correct this entire recession that was created by Republican policies, which is a standard practice within the last 35 years, if you check out statistics.
Interesting.
No statistics, Jay. Let's just operate based off of how we feel and what Fox News tells us.
Well,
That's why it's been so infuriating, because when I voted for Barack Obama in my first election, 2008, it was then 8 years of, I wouldn't say like blooming prosperity, but it was better than what we've had the last 4, for sure. It was so many steps backward that even Biden couldn't fix it in 4 years. We have to keep clawing our way back and fighting and having to do this stupid dance we've done before in the past. And all we're doing is repeating the worst parts of history, and it's insane to me. I can't believe it.
I think I'm still a little jaded on this because I'm not confident that either party gives an actual fuck about the average American citizen. Like, not as a general rule of thumb. There's a few standouts, like, again, Bernie Sanders, man after my own heart. That dude, I trust him with my life. I trust him with the American economy. I trust him with both of your lives. Because it's Bernie fucking Sanders. His voting record is impeccable.
Yeah, I would have trusted him 8 years ago, but
I trust him now. Give him the reins. Let him do it.
I definitely don't think that any specific party is the best option
absolutely
at
not.
all. But I definitely, if I have to see the history of what each party's done, I have to see that one party is focused on more human rights and letting people live safer, better for who they are, as an example, I guess I'll say. And then there's
Better
another
fed.
party. There's another party that's trying to structure you into what makes them comfortable as a whole. And then also are much more focused on if their guns are safe rather than their children who might be LGBTQ plus.
Right.
IA plus. Sorry, I forgot half my letters there. But
Well, you can't take away the guns rights.
so then I'm always sitting there like, I have to choose the party that wants me safer than the pistol that I keep in my safe.
You have a pistol in your safe? Oh my god.
I do.
Well, and it's interesting that you had to register, Jay, to be Democrat to vote in the primary. That's a system to me that has always been so strange that you had to register as one or the other, that you can't remain independent and still vote in primary elections like that, because that doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because everyone should be able to vote. You shouldn't have to put yourself into this column to be able to cast your ballot one way or the other. It just doesn't make very much sense to me personally.
And I don't think every state does that. I think that's specific to Oklahoma and specific states that choose that.
That makes sense in Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma, we're a supermajority, and independents often vote on Democratic sides. Not always, but it's, I think...
But enough to make them make that rule.
Yeah, but I think it's enough that it triggered them to be like, we're not going to let them do that. Because not every state does that. And as I always say, we're a supermajority because we gerrymander the fuck out of things. Tulsa County and Oklahoma County used to be blue, started becoming blue, and when that happened, we redrew the maps. Because remember, we got that Kinjo horn put in for 4 years, and after that, it was gerrymandered, and now they're super red counties again.
I'm just going to put on my Oklahoma legislature uniform. There we go. I'm ready to make Oklahoma laws now.
But I will say, kind of steering this conversation into the current election situation, I'm going to be really blunt. I was on my drive home from Houston when I heard the news that Biden dropped out and was pushing Kamala. Mm-hmm. And I got a little bit annoyed and nervous because I was concerned how much pushback the Democratic Party was going to give. And
I get it. Totally.
We immediately started getting all of this support from all sorts of people, and now we're getting like these Republicans that are pushing for Kamala, and I'm just like, hold on. Do I have a glimpse of hope?
I think it might be because of her background in law enforcement that she's getting a lot of Republican support.
I mean, I feel like she's more moderate than people probably think she is, especially
so.
the people who have just gone like balls to the wall, where I'm just like, I mean, if you gave me a list, like a roster of a bunch of people to vote for, and Kamala was on the roster, but like, I don't know, maybe Elizabeth Warren was there, Bernie Sanders was there. Mm-hmm. Like, obviously I like Bernie Sanders, but like Elizabeth Warren, maybe AOC was on it. Like, I could think of a bunch of people I'd rather vote for, but
Joe Biden is not one of them.
I mean, I can tell you exactly one person who I would hate to vote for. So...
I also have to say, this is our first Gen X presidential candidate rather than Boomer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was like, don't you mean Gen Z? And I thought you meant like voting terms. And now I get what you're saying.
No, for presidential candidate, this is our first Gen X. And I genuinely think, bring a fucking new generation in. Because we've been letting old men run this shit for a long time.
Too long. About 300 years now?
On top of that, I need to express how stupid Trump's effort to criticize Biden for his age was during his campaign, because the dumbass is 3 years, I think, younger than Biden. So I'm like, who has room to talk about age between you two?
But that's also the thing, because I think people forget when talking about Trump that Donald Trump's voting base, they don't give a shit what he says. They don't care if it's lies. They don't care if it's complete hypocrisy. It doesn't make any difference to these people. They are not there to think about whether or not they want Donald Trump to be president. They're there for Donald Trump to tell them what they think.
Yeah.
That's exactly the life they live. They may think they're all these free-thinking, independent, thought people, but they're all just fucking brainwashed.
And I do what I want. And I'm like, no, you do what Fox News
tells you. Yeah.
If I wasn't already convinced that they were brainwashed masses already, when I saw all those rallies right after his assassination attempt where they were all wearing those little ear bandages on their ears.
Oh, my
Whoa.
God.
That was... I'm not going to lie, that was kind of scary.
It was the point where I was like, this, by standard, if you pay attention, cult behavior.
Oh, it's 100% cult behavior.
Like, I've always been like, am I being a little critical because I don't
No.
like the guy, that I keep saying in my head that this is kind of a cult, like this is what cults do. But when I saw that, I kind of was just like, cult, it's now sealed for me.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of the time that we talk about things like this, especially now we're talking a lot more about gay rights, with Roe v. Wade being overturned. I look at like the Supreme Court ruling for marriage equality as the next thing on the list, the thing on the docket. And I worry about that, and then I worry about things like if Trump does become president, what happens if he just lets the state descend into martial law, because we live in a perpetual state of being at war, which gives the president wartime powers, which usually should be reserved for wartime, but bitch, we have been perpetually at war for decades now.
Yep.
And so that gives the president wartime power all the time. So, you could hypothetically let the entire U.S. descend into martial law and be completely well within your rights. And it's things like that I used to think, maybe I'm being dramatic thinking these things. Maybe I'm kind of overinflating it. And then I stopped to think about it, and I think people are gaslighting other people into believing they're being a little too outrageous when they think of those things. Because we're at a point now where I don't think that's too distant. I don't think that's off the table.
And it wouldn't have been that long ago, less than 10 years ago, that I would have been like, you're being dramatic, Anthony.
Yeah, I know. Trust me,
And
I would have
now-
thought the same thing.
And now I'm just like, sure, I don't want to believe that, but it doesn't feel as far off.
Well, and gaslight and gatekeep are both buzzwords. Sure, of course they are. But the fact that people are throwing them around so much more these days and being accurate about it a lot of the time just goes to show how rampant it really is. It's happening all the time. And now that we're identifying it more, people are getting a little more smart about it, and they're able to see through a lot of that stuff more than they were before. And a lot of people are making better conscious decisions, which I think is a teeny tiny step in the right direction.
Joe, you use the word buzzwords, and I just think that if the United States would synergize a little bit more, and we could circle back to this discussion, maybe grab some of the low-hanging fruit.
We can put a pin in it for now.
We can really adjust how it affects our bottom line.
I think the nation would be in a greater spot, but maybe we should have we should go off the record and have a sidebar on this later.
Maybe we should have term limits for the Supreme Court.
Fuck.
Ooh,
Yes.
hell yes, we should. Oh my God, yes.
Speaking of, I saw something about how Biden wants to do some reform on the Supreme Court, and they were discussing, was it term limits? And then also ethics. Something about ethics. And there was a report from Fox News, I believe, that was just like, if they do this sort of ethics report, it's going to knock out conservative judges. And I'm just like, hold on.
You're almost there.
You almost
Guys are
got
so
it.
close.
You're just right
I was-
there.
Come on.
And I was just like, is this a meme? Like, that's what sucks, is I see this stuff and I can't decide if it's a joke anymore, if it's real.
know.
And I don't like living in this time about this part. I'm excited that we're the digital pioneers because we grew up before all this excitement of internet and social media, and now we thrive in it. But fuck, I hate this side of it.
Yeah, I don't like being part of the history books that are being written.
Well, we have a lot of stuff going on. It's all historical. Whole lot of unprecedented times.
I can't wait until we're old, though. And they'll be like...
The problem is I don't have kids, so I don't know. I won't have like grandkids or great grandkids to like bitch about things that.
But I'll be like the old bitchy neighbor, and that maybe will be nice to my neighbor's kids or something, and they'll be like, tell us about the good old days. And I'll be like, back in my day.
Jay, what do you mean will be? You already are the old bitchy neighbor.
You're not wrong.
I've seen him out there sitting in a lawn chair on the sidewalk and like yelling at cars that speed by too fast.
Which is hilarious because if you don't slow down to like 3 miles per hour to go around that turn in front of your house, you're flying through Jay's front door.
It is. I am literally a month away from 9 years in this house, and I'm so shocked that nobody, when we've had ice, has slid right into my mailbox.
Like on Home Alone, everyone hits the statue.
Yes, I'm
yes.
baffled. Although I was in a car once with one of my friends who was supposed to be driving me to work because it was much safer than my Cadillac I had at the time. Hit in a mailbox in my neighborhood for that exact reason. It was icy. He slid right into it.
Well, do you guys think it's time for a quick break? And then when we come back, we can talk a little bit about Mr.
Daddy Walls.
Let's do it. I want to talk about him.
It's Walls. There's no T.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Do we need to see John, though? Is John out in the field this week?
You know, we probably should check in on John. We didn't check in on him last week. John, you okay out there?
Yeah, John.
I'm living my Bo Burnham fantasy right now.
Oh, John, you.
Such
Sure,
hard-hitting
John.
reporting once again. Well done.
Well, then let's cut to break real quick. And when we come back, we'll talk about Tim Walls.
Hey listeners, are you ready to add some spice to your wardrobe? Check out hunkytops.com, the queer, Latino-owned clothing site that brings you the hottest styles. And here's an exclusive deal just for you, listeners. Get 10% off your first order with the code SUNDRIES. That's right, 10% off when you use the code SUNDRIES at checkout. They do offer sizes above 3XL. Just hit the contact button and request a larger size and they'll accommodate the best they can. So, what are you waiting for? Visit hunkytops.com today. Explore their amazing styles and wear your pride with confidence. hunkytops.com. Wear your pride, live your style. Remember, hunkytops.com. Use code SUNDRIES for 10% off your first order. Order now!
You're listening to the Beards and Sundries podcast, the news source that's still rated 5 out of 6 balls.
Anthony, do you want me to share the clip of the TikTok of Walls making the couch joke against JD Vance for a sound
let's
clip?
do it. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, I can't wait to debate the guy. That is if he's willing to get off the couch and show up. So, you see what I did there?
Because, Anthony, I don't know if you're keeping up, but JD Vance apparently had sex with a couch.
Yeah.
I have no
That's why
idea.
that's so funny.
My intro was unrelated.
Oh, funny man.
Yeah. The more and more I learn about each vice presidential candidate, the more I laugh, but also the more I feel better.
I didn't know much about him. He appeared in the list of potential VP picks, and I was just like, I don't know who this old man is, but he looks old. And then all of a sudden he got picked, and I was like, oh, an old man. But now that I'm watching him in videos and how fun he is and how down-to-earth he is and what he's done for his state as a governor, never mind.
Everything that I'm hearing about him from our friends in Minnesota, the only qualm they have about it is that they're going to lose him as governor. That's the only thing they're upset about.
I like him.
I mean, can you get more classic American than an older white man from the Midwest who actually spouts intelligent ideas because he's a teacher and a former coach? And he's just, the more and more I read about him and the more I hear him speak, I really think that he is the perfect choice and the right direction moving forward.
And I genuinely think he is the representation of middle America.
1,000%.
I think they just announced today that they've checked his records and he does not have shares in stock. He does not hold any particular bonds. The only thing he has is like a teacher pension and things like that. And I was like, okay, so
these large companies and corporations are like, fuck. They're like, hey, you want some of our money? Just do this. And he'll be like, nah.
And then he's all around just kind of feels like that dad that most of us never had.
Yeah, like a comforting father figure that can like reassure us of a bunch of stuff in a time when a lot of us need reassuring.
Father figures reassure you? That's what they're supposed to do?
Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
Oh.
Normally, they always just yelled at me for not holding the light right.
Yeah, normally they just scream at my mom for burning the roast.
Oh, sorry. My brain just went to the Family Guy clip.
It's okay, kids. Yeah. We can fix this. We can just throw some spices
Heads down, heads down. Damn it, that meeting was so bad.
Oh, what that smelled? You burnt dinner. It's okay, kids. Don't get in front of me. Don't get in between us. It's so sad that that's funny, but it's so accurate.
I know. I hate how much I laugh at it because it's inappropriate.
Yeah.
Is it inappropriate or is it accurate?
Right. Yes.
Well, admittedly, I still don't know much about Tim Walz, but I also have been in a place where I'm just like, well, I mean, I know who I'm not voting for, so as long as he is
that's pretty much it.
The presidential candidate for the Republican Party, like, I don't need to do any research. And I know that sounds real laissez-faire, but, I mean, would you elect the devil if you just already knew everything about him because he couldn't shut his fucking mouth? Like, I'm not going to vote for the guy. Like, it's never going to happen. He's never going to win my vote. There's not anybody who can oppose him that I'd be like, well, maybe I'll think about Donald Trump. I can't think of a single human being alive or dead presently that I would be like, well...
You're inviting a dangerous can of worms.
I know. I'm not going to go down that path.
I'm not, but nope, we're not doing it.
Go for it.
No.
I thought about it.
Because
I definitely thought about it.
I can think of several fascists who have been in power in history who I would still be like, you know what? At least they fucking knew what they were doing. They weren't being fucking idiots about it.
What a way to phrase it.
If I'm going to go balls deep into fascism, I might as well go balls fucking deep.
What if I say...
Might as well go armband deep with a little pattern on the side.
I'll say that they were consistent and I understood their message, but I didn't support it or agree with it.
I'm not supporting or agreeing with any of these people. Don't misunderstand. It's just that I can either have the fuck up fascist or the guy who actually can at least streamline the process.
What? You don't want shitty steaks in a fake university? Come on.
I don't want to...
In a plane that only lasted 2 years?
I don't need Dolan Trump a talking corn to spend his 80s trying to figure out how to be a better fascist.
He's going to do that anyway, so why not just let him do it at Mar-a-Lago where he won't hurt anybody else?
I think my thing is even... I'll just watch how their families react, and like you'll see the Biden family, they're kind of sweet to each other, la 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 la. I mean, you'll even see the Clinton family who they don't even like each other that much, but they show up and they fake it. And then you got Trump's family. Where the fuck? Like they hate each other. Melania is like, I do not want to be here. You're awful.
Talk about getting more than you signed up for. Jesus Christ. Textbook definition.
In a way, I feel bad for her, but I don't, because I'm like, you put yourself in this situation. But, but
I don't feel bad for her. Fuck her.
No. But getting back off that topic, back to nicer people.
Oh, yeah, Tim Walz.
Thank you. Steer us back on track, please.
I know. I was like, Tim... To be honest, Anthony, kind of to circle back to basically... can't believe I just said that. To what we were talking about how you're obviously not going to vote for Trump, so it doesn't really kind of matter. Even though I know who I'm voting for already, like, I can't vote for Trump, I like to know more about the candidate that I am voting for, so I can at least kind of prepare what am I getting into, and if I'm in the discussion and people bring it up, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Here's my defense, or here's why I understand it and support it. It's just because I enjoy the knowledge of it. It's fun to learn it. I will say that in the past couple weeks, this is the first time in years, we're coming up on not that far from a decade, that I'm actually interested in political news again, and I've started hitting some of my news podcasts.
I mean, I said it jokingly in my intro, like a breath of fresh air, but it really does feel... I just don't know how else to put it. It's rejuvenating to finally have something different that is not worse, you know?
I can say that it does... This turn of events has made me feel less stressed about the upcoming election. I don't feel as fatalist about it as I did, where before
same.
I was like, well, I guess we're just having a fucking Trump presidency, or we're having, the Crypt Keeper, which both of them. So,
Yeah. Which one?
yeah, the Crypt Keeper or the Crypt Keeper, but make him fascist.
Yeah.
The nice Crypt Keeper or the actual mean, stupid
I don't even know if
Crypt
either of them are really nice.
Keeper? I think
Did you
Biden's
guys,
nice.
speaking of Crypt Keeper, did you guys see that clip where he was in a room full of people and he walked up to a woman who he thought was Jill and it wasn't, and she had to like walk up behind him and turn him around and be like, "Hey," and he was like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh my god, he's losing his marbles. We got to get him out of there."
I will say, I think this was planned out way more than we are aware of him dropping out, because it was timed so perfectly post the Republican convention being like, that's it. This is who's going to be our running person, and this is who's the VP for it. And it's just like, all right, well, now that you've built your entire election process around my age, and that's all you focused on, even at your convention, I'm out. Here's this young person.
Speaking of the RNC, I always have loved all those memes about like how all the gay apps go crazy when there's a convention. Grindr literally shut down in Milwaukee because of overuse and outages. Like it wasn't even a joke. It actually did happen.
That was probably from my ex. He lives there now. I'm kidding.
BMW.
Snarky moment.
He's not kidding.
I'm going to stay off that topic on internet. That'll be an off-air topic that I have thoughts.
Well, I'll also say preliminarily that I have known about Tim Walz' existence for just about 72 hours now, because it is a Wednesday. And I don't know if they're going to find damning information on him or something horrible he's done in his past, but from what I've seen so far, he's squeaky clean.
Is he going to grab him by the pussy? Is he going to fuck a couch?
Apparently that doesn't matter, so who cares?
I just do not think that there's just anything
That's kind of my thing.
That
It's like you could come out with some shitty stuff that they've done in their past. I feel like everyone's going to have shitty stuff in their past in some sense.
Right.
And so that's just life. We're all young and dumb sometimes. But anytime they're just like, look what they did, I'm like, hold up. Let's look at what you guys support and what I support. I'm going to be fine with my decision.
See, I've never done that before. I've never done anything bad. My past is completely...
I can't run for
clean
office
and
because I would hate to
open.
see my Yahoo chats from when I was underage.
I've never done really
The internet.
inappropriate things in the middle of gay parties. I've never drank Four Loko and climbed all over rail cars. Like, it's just never happened. None of those things happened to me, you know? I'm referencing somebody else's life.
There's a guy I went to college with who could never run for public office because in 2006, when Grey's Anatomy was popular, he went to a Halloween party with a group of friends, and he was Miranda Bailey, full black face, black skin, arms, full body paint. So I hope he never runs for anything.
Was
public,
the
'cause he's gonna
choice
be
there?
fucked. I don't know. It was 2006. It was a different time, I guess. I don't know. He must have been boofing or whatever fucking Brett Kavanaugh used to do. But
I like beer!
12 beers at Chili's.
Got a beer at Chili sounds good.
well, that's a good intro on Mr. Tim Walz, and I'm interested to see how things play out in a few coming months. Watch out for deepfakes and AI. Oh my God. If you think the Republicans weren't going to use it before, they are going to try their hardest now. So
Now they're going to actually learn AI.
be diligent. Do not trust anything you read or see until it is fact-checked, and be very careful moving forward these next few months.
And honestly, if you need to know how to fact check, ask us. I'm sure we can help you. For fuck's sakes, just don't believe everything you see.
One last election tidbit that I will close us out on before we go to our commercial is that if you're one of our local listeners right here in Tulsa County, we are doing our mayoral elections later this month. So read up on your candidates, do your research, because Mayor G.T. Bynum is not seeking a third term. So we have a new list of candidates to look at, to research. So read up on it, do your research, and get out there and vote for a new mayor later this month, later in August 2024.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And now for a word from our sponsor, Sweet Selena's Sexy Sofas.
Feel that furniture that you're sitting on now. Feel that it's garbage. Oh, is that a pull-out couch? We don't pull out. Not here at Sweet Selena's Sexy Sofas. No, you won't find any ordinary couch here. Nothing but sensual and fine luxury material. God damn it, who is making that sound? Cut the fucking music. Get that guy out of here. He's literally fucking the furniture. Get out of here. Hey, get out of my store. God damn it. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Stop fucking involving each other.
This
This
is
is
disgusting.
God. This is the coach I
I'm
got
running as
last
vice
week.
president.
Fucking,
You
I don't
can't
care
get
who
me
you
out of
are.
your
Get
store.
out
I'll
of your
fuck whatever
fucking
furniture I want.
JD Vance has been permanently kicked out of our store after that. Sweet Selena's Sexy Sofas.
Hey guys, make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast so you can receive a notification every Sunday when a new episode drops.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm a little horny.
I don't know. They say more cushion for the pushing, but wow.
It really gives a new look at the word sectional.
Cup holders are out. Ball holders are in.
I never understood why my grandma had plastic covering her couch, but now I get it. She didn't want more furniture showing up at the house.
More furniture. Oh my god. Gross. You go back over to her house one day and there's a random armchair in the corner and you touch it and it's like,
Grandma! Well, actually, Grandpa. She comes home one day from cleaning houses, because I think she used to clean houses back in the day, and there's
she cleans sofas.
there's 3 ottomans, and she's like, damn it!
But
Triplets!
hey, when I went down to Sweet Selena's Sexy Sofas, I discovered that every purchase of a new sofa, they put lube in the console for you. And not in the bottle, they just lube it up for you beforehand, so it's easier to enter.
I'll just tell you that they're putting in one next door to the market, and JD Vance just pulled into the parking lot.
JD smashes the mailbox like on Home Alone, and he's like, I'll take the whole store.
He's going to smash the mailbox, and then he's going to smash that sofa.
Let me try to do a JD Vance real quick. I'm going to smash that sofa in my home state of Wise Virginia.
I'm Appalachian.
Appalachian?
He's Apple-lacking some of that sex drive after that sofa.
I know this isn't exactly on topic, but for some reason a couple weeks ago I had the weirdest dream that I was driving down the road and this little shitty car pulled out in front of me, and for some reason it was JD Vance as a kid from Hillbilly Elgin and Glenn Close as his grandmother, and I honk my horn and she just reaches out and flips me off and just keeps driving. And that was all my dream was. And sometimes I'm like, how do I look this dream up? I don't get it.
You should try to AI generate an illustration of it.
Oh God, I do have ChatGPT Pro.
There you go. Use that membership, Goral.
Well, now that we're all finished with our sofas, do we have any Beardos submitted sundries?
Ew, put the footrest back down, you sick fuck.
Sorry.
I'll put it down and I'll put it in.
You know what? Dirty Man Anthony.
There we go. That's more accurate.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one's
yeah.
right.
Yeah.
I actually didn't get any user content this week at all. Everyone hated us.
Whoa.
Wow. They really doubled down on the no voicemail, huh?
Yeah.
They said,
were
hey,
like-
you like that shit? Check this out.
Don't you fucking guilt me. I'm not going to send you anything
You're not
now.
going to get anything.
That'd be a
Jesus.
good t-shirt idea. Inbox 0. Everyone's least favorite this podcast.
Ah, I love that.
Oh.
Thomas the Tank, the little podcast that thought he might try.
Well, then I guess this episode's going to be short as fucking hell.
I also checked our Apple reviews, and we're still last on beards. So,
Wow.
sorry, guys. Sorry.
Sorry.
we're so
I'm
bad.
not sorry. You should be sorry, guys. Beardos.
No, I'm really sorry that we're so bad at this.
Yeah, I mean, we could always shut it down, shut it all down.
I'll go ahead and share one real quick then that I literally just got an hour and 20 minutes ago from Beardo Catherine, and it was regarding last week's game, the Pokemon game for Jay. And she said, Jay calling Alakazam Spoonster, and then 3 laughing emoji. I replied, I loved that game so much, and I'm still blown away that he got Toucannon right. And she said, that was such a good one, although I'll admit, once we start getting past Gold and Silver Pokemon, I'm not very good anymore, lol. Which,
Me too. Same.
I get it.
I understand, girl.
There was a big gap in my Pokemon playing where when I came back to it for X and Y, I was like, who the hell are all these?
Once we get past Pikachu, it starts getting a little sketchy.
You just
for
made me
me.
think of Steve Buscemi in that meme. How do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah. That was
mean-
you when you walked into that ceramics place with Detective Fierce.
Oh my god, speaking
Who's
of,
this little fella?
I told one of my other friends about it, and he's like, we should do it. And September 7th, I'll be there.
Oh my god, you've got to like FaceTime us so we can pick out another Pokemon for you to do, and you can try
Oh
to
my
name
God,
it, and we won't
yes.
tell you who it is.
Oh, and you got to paint it based off of what you think it should look like.
Ooh, that's
Compare
good
it to
too.
the real pattern on it.
We should give Jay a Pokemon coloring book for Christmas, and he has to color all of them without any prior knowledge and see what he comes up with. That'd be great.
Ooh, that's a good one.
I like that idea, because of the ceramic, I already have an idea I want to do. So let's do the coloring book, if that's what you want.
Well, since we got through with Beardo submitted sundries so fucking fast, I mean, I guess if you don't submit any sundries, then
Well, should we comment on last week's episode, since we also listened to the show and we're Beardos?
nobody else wants to comment on it.
Speaking of our episode, did our sound quality get fixed?
Not yet. No.
Oh, I haven't listened. What happened to it?
I didn't actually break it this time for once in my fucking life.
It wasn't Anthony's fault.
For once. But I ran it through the Adobe Voice Enhance program because we're using a different RSS platform than we used to, and the previous platform had a Magic Mastery option on it, but it would do the audio mastery for us for the most part, not like everything, but enough to where I didn't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And we moved to this new platform because it's less expensive for us to run 2 podcasts on it. 'Cause the other platform makes you pay for each individual podcast. This one, we have a joint payment for it. So it's just the same price that we were paying, but we get to run both podcasts off of it. Anyways, all of that is to say, I used to run that through that, and now I don't. And so trying to get our volume levels and things to sound right is a little bit more of a feat. So I wanted to give this Adobe Voice Enhance a try, and I ran through it, and it seemed fine. And I spot checked it a couple of places, but I didn't spot check it at the right places.
What's the deal? Like, am I louder than everyone? Or because I boost my
No,
volume whenever I
it's-
edit.
It's this
Because I have to.
AI voice editing, like that voice fixer, a lot of times has a very difficult time with overlapping voices, or if there's music in the background, or if certain things hit certain volume levels, and then it makes it sound very mechanical in a way,
Digital?
like tinny and digital. Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Like, I haven't made any clips because the clips I want to make, the sound quality is not good. for TikTok, so I just haven't made any clips for it. But my favorite part is at the end of the intro. Whatever it did, it sounds like it's going. That was where I was like, something's fucking wrong with our sound.
That'd be a great intro next week. My name is Jay, and it wouldn't be too far off. It's Jay, and
That was, and your other host, Joe.
oh my god! So it is Fox News.
It was so funny.
That's the
Go
brain.
listen to
That's
it
the
before it's
brainwashing
fixed.
noise. Everyone's like beards and sundries, because they heard that.
Listeners, this is of Wednesday that we recorded between last week's episode and this week's episode. So if it's fixed and you don't hear it, I'm sorry. But if you do hear it,
Oh god. I'm gonna have to listen to that. Oh, is it like that on YouTube too?
all of them.
I was going to say it's
God,
there
I'd
for
have to
both
watch
because
it.
I put the audio on both files. So
Another host, Anthony.
I was just like, what is going on with this? I backed
At
it
least
up.
it's not. At least it's not. The Beard and Sundries Market is opening July 17th. Oh my god. That is so good. It has to be fattening. Oh, Christ.
Hard of. I'm never going to not do that now. Anytime we have an awkward pause at the show, I think that's just what I'm going to fill it with. God. So we should probably move on. Does anybody have
Jesus.
something to check out?
I do. I have one this week.
Yay!
Stop! I'm trying not to be red anymore. Okay, so this week I have another TikTok channel for us, and it's not really relating to this week's topic, so it's a little refreshing. This is an eating channel, and, you know, we love to talk about food. This is a channel that I found called McKenna is Eating, and it's this girl that goes to fast food places, chain restaurants, local places, regional places, and she gets a bunch of stuff off their menu, and then just records herself trying everything and eating things. So the way this stuck out as different for me is that her humor is very millennial, and so it's fun to watch her. She does the millennial pause at the beginning, even though she's not trying. She'll leave in little tidbits where, like, ooh, teenagers are walking by, act casual. Or like, oh, my boyfriend's messing with me off camera. Or so she'll record in her car, and then she'll be like, I don't know how these influencers do this, and she'll have to turn on her engine and turn on the AC for a few minutes because she gets really hot. But it's fun because she also likes a lot of the same things that I like. Like, she loves Velveeta, she likes mayonnaise, she likes dipping sauces, and she orders things that I think are delicious too. So that's why I enjoy the channel personally. But she's really charming, she's really down to earth. She isn't like too full of herself, so she's also fun to watch in that aspect. She doesn't take herself too seriously. She knows what she's about. She's not trying to become the next food influencer taking over the world, but she also has some fun recipes on her page where she'll show you how she makes a sandwich, where she shows you how to do a grilled cheese, where she'll show you tips on how to get good browning on your bread, things you can do with eggs, different things that you can try in the kitchen to switch up variations on things that you're already eating. So I really like her channel, and once again, that is called McKenna is Eating.
All that makes me think of, not related to that, is that channel of that guy or girl, fuck if I even pay attention, who tries crumble cookies. And now I want crumble cookies.
And she talks like this.
Oh, nope.
With
not
her
even that
boyfriend?
one.
Oh, no,
Nope.
not that one. Okay.
Actually, to take that, just I think I've seen that one. But there's
Yeah.
multiple channels that try it, and all I'm paying attention to is what crumble cookie they're eating.
Yeah. Crumble's a little overblown in my opinion. But,
It's so fucking overpriced, but I always like a lot
Yeah.
of them.
and some of their ethical things are a little questionable, but they are fun to watch. So yeah, those are fun too.
Thanks, Joe.
thanks, Joe.
Should we move on to the change?
We should, because I don't know what it is.
So we're basically not going to dedicate a game to this section every week because a lot of times it's a lot of prep work for us. And a lot of times we don't have the time to prep it. And it's also a lot of editing. And we're just trying to simplify things a little bit. So.
And also, Jay won 3 in a row, so what's the fucking point anymore?
Yeah. After I won so much, fuck games. I lost last week. I'll never lose again.
I will bring up one quick tidbit from a game we had recently, which was where we had to guess if activities were real or fake. And I want to highlight shin kicking because at work today, I banged the bottom of my shin into a pallet so hard that there is now a goose egg on my shin, and it is throbbing and it hurts. So I would not be very good at shin kicking.
Also, speaking of that exact same game, Joe, congratulations on winning gold at weed whacking.
Thanks.
I don't know why. I loved making that commercial so much. I did not know how I was going to go about it, and then I was like, oh, I'm just going to make it sound like they're like advertising segments of the Olympics and that we've all won something in it. And I was like, that's it. And then I fucking loved making that commercial.
Quick side note about the Olympics. Does anyone else feel like it's been going on for months?
Yes.
It was on TV in the break room today, and I talked with some coworkers about it, and we were all like, does it feel longer and more drawn out? And I actually had to Google, when is the Olympics over this year? It's over on this coming Sunday. So as of this episode's drop, the Olympics has now concluded for 2024. We made it.
Oh, but anyways, what we were going to do is take this segment and use it more as a what's grinding my gear situation.
Yeah. Work in progress. Maybe let's call it sundry complaints.
Yeah, we'll finalize this more as we go. But as of today, we didn't prep a game, and the first person who has a complaint on their mind that they want to air is going to speak up right now.
People who don't read fucking emails at work.
Yep. So this week's Sundry that's not very fundry. We're talking about emails and people that don't read them.
I think we can just bitch about whatever. I think this is just free reign to bitch about whatever. That's my
Get the
complaint.
fuck out of the left lane!
Please.
I got to work today. There was an email in my inbox from like 5:40 yesterday p.m. And I was like, well, I'm not going to check that because that's past my work time by like 2 hours. So fuck you. So I saw it this morning and I replied to it. And then 2 people replied to the same email thread that clearly didn't read the email that I sent in response. And I was just like, well, what the fuck ever, man. Like, and it's not direct. So normally if it's something that doesn't involve me, I don't care. But this is directly like something that I do for work, and I need to figure out like how they want it handled before I move forward. And I sent the information requested and nobody fucking read it. And I had to go back and reiterate it. Like before I left today, I sent one more email to that same thread that was like, just for clarification, comma, do we want to proceed with this? Because nobody read it. So like, just give me a yes or no, because I don't give a fuck at this point. And if you read my email later and you're like, wait, I need to make a change, you should have read it in the first fucking place.
I think what kills me most about corporate emails is how I'm to the point that I feel like I have to stop, plan this thing out, and think of every possible angle that it could be misconstrued before I send it. Because you know that when it goes out to a group of people, somebody's going to misconstrue it, reply all, it turns into this clusterfuck. And so I feel like I have to literally think up the most intelligent response, that it turns into this detailed novel trying to prepare for everyone that's not going to understand it. And then nobody reads it because it's too long. And I'm like, well, I had to do this because then you guys don't understand it.
So that was the thing, is this wasn't even that long. It was like a question. The question was how we went negative in the system on a particular item that we keep in inventory. And I guess they couldn't wrap their head around the fact that you can go negative in the system. And I was just like, well, so here's how it happened. We counted this item like a couple of days before this transaction happened, and we said we had 36,000 pounds of it. And then shipping completed an order that was placed by our customer service department for 40.2 thousand pounds. So we had 36,000 in the system because that's what we counted. And then we sent 40.2 thousand out of the system, which drove us into a deficit because that's how math works. But it was like they couldn't believe that it would go lower than zero. They're like, well, it shouldn't happen that way. And I was like, well, physically, you can't go lower than zero. Physically, you run out of it. You fucking run out of it. But the problem is somebody didn't count it fucking right. And so unless I make this correction as if it's from the negative to where we're at now, it's not going to fix the fucking problem. And it wasn't long. It was just me saying, this is what we counted. This is what we sent out. That makes this much of a deficit. So all they had to read was one sentence.
Yeah. But you have to elaborate that sentence, or else people go into this crazy thing.
So I used to be in a leadership role at work. That's no longer the case. But for the span of a little more than 2 years, I actually had a work email too. So I've got a couple of these. One, there was another manager at my place of employment who would always use voice to chat to send his emails. So he would hold his phone like this and dictate the emails and not proofread them and not double check them, add punctuation, nothing. And then he would just send them out. It would take, I would sometimes have to take off my glasses, or I would have to like unfocus and refocus my eyes, and I would have to read these emails 3-4 times in a row to decipher where the sentences would start and end, what he meant, and what information he was trying to convey through these emails. It was a nightmare.
That reminds me of that meme of that super drunk kid that emailed his professor asking for an extension on his paper, and then the professor responded and said, hey, yeah, I'll give you this extension. Also, next time, let me know what you're drinking so that way I can get some and,
Seen that one.
and prevent myself from reading that fucking disaster that you sent me.
Wasn't the email like, sorry about your bald head though? And then and then he replied like, P.S. my wife likes the bald head just fine.
Yeah, it was like you're a motherfucking G or something like that. And
Yeah.
he was like, hey, I need an extension on my paper because I'm way drunk and I'm going to be totally sick tomorrow. And he goes, also, sorry you're bald.
Yeah. And he's like, my wife likes it just fine. But
I don't know why, but that just reminded me of that.
And then another facet that was always fun was, I'm sure you guys are familiar with this one, the fun little button that's called Reply All. So this is an email that's become famous company-wide, and it's like spanned inter-company memes and jokes, and everyone knows it. There was a store in California where a red Saturn was going to be parked in the parking lot overnight. So they said, don't tow this red Saturn. It's staying overnight for the tire center. Please do not tow it. They then proceeded to send that email to everyone in the company who had an email address. So then, for a while, it was just fun to read the responses because you could tell who was just clueless about how to use their email, because it was just a constant stream of barrage of, please delete me from this thread. I can't stop getting this email. God. When you could literally just click on the menu at the top and stop getting replies. I think I made it like 2 days before I was like, okay, this is ridiculous. I don't want these anymore. But the very first reply was the payroll clerk from my building that said, please remove me from this email thread. God, you really can't make it up.
So I have the opposite problem, which is getting people to reply all. Like, there's a couple of people that I have to fucking fight them to get them to reply all. So I'll send an email. Well, they'll send me an email, and then I will reply to them, and I'll CC my coworker on it, because my coworker and I work in tandem for a lot of things. So it's helpful if we both know what's going on. And people know this because we tell them this. We're actively working on getting a departmental inbox so we can stop fucking with it. But then I'll CC my coworker on it, and then they just reply to me, and then I have to reply all back, or reply and then like add my coworker back in. So every other email they're getting, and I'm having to manually add them back in. And I'm just like, just hit fucking reply all. Just hit reply all. The only time I don't hit reply all is when I specifically don't want everybody to know what I'm about to say.
Yeah, normally it's a situation where I'm just like, this does not need to go to everyone. This is just a simple, hey, you should be aware of this.
Yeah.
To one person.
To one person.
Yep. The best part about a reply all when it went to everyone in the company was that everyone who replied, please take me off this thread, was also hitting reply all. So their reply was going to everyone in the company with an email address. It was just a vicious cycle.
Which, don't get me wrong, it's annoying as fuck, but also I enjoy it because then, like, it kind of pinpoints the people that I'm like, oh, God.
That is entertaining to a degree, but it does get old. I don't like it whenever it's problematic for my work, because that is what drives me crazy.
I think it gets old when it's, like, kind of a silly email chain, like, somebody will send a, hey, by the way, there's cake in the break room, and then it's like, ooh, goody, cake. Oh, who brought it? And it's just like all of these reply alls. And I'm like,
with a sparkly gif of a cake.
I'm like,
Too
stop
funny.
it.
LOL.
But I'll never forget starting my company years and years ago. I mean, I think we had a power outage overnight that fucked up a lot. And they sent a company-wide email saying, hey, this happened. If you have issues, let us know. First person to reply all, someone from my team. My computer's working just fine. And then it was this chain of just constant, like, my screen's not starting, but it seems like I can restart it. And it made me sit there, and that was the moment that I was like, am I smarter than I thought I was all these years?
It really is eye-opening sometimes.
It started opening my eyes to how society is a lot different than I thought it was. This was in my very early 20s, and I'm like, you know what? There are really dumb people out there.
I used to assume that adults were all capable.
Yeah.
And I think that was a mistake. It's a mistake that adults don't teach you when you're growing up, is that adults are not just fallible, but mostly wrong.
That's
Well-
something they should teach in school, just like taxes.
Exactly. Yeah. There's that disconnect that's emerging now even more than ever because these newer generations aren't being shown office etiquette, email etiquette, how to use a multi-line phone, how to use a fax machine or a big printer or anything like that. So we make fun of people for not knowing how to use them when no one's teaching them how to do it. And it's all trial and error. And, you know, one person showed me how to do this, and then you should know how to do everything.
I feel like we should end this episode with like one of those old 1950s PSAs. Learn how to use office etiquette proper.
Not so pointy boobs. Oh,
What a shame. Medium pointy boobs.
Nowadays, you can't sexually harass your coworkers and stop hitting reply all.
signed, Don Draper.
The stapler can't go beyond 10 pages unless you have a special one.
Well, that was some pretty good grievances for us to air. But do you guys think it's time for us to wrap things up?
I do. I think I hear the music coming back on. And it is that. It's just that on repeat, and the sound of my tears hitting the floor. But go call our hotline real quick, you fucking bastards, at 405-999-2242 and leave us a voicemail, you bitches.
And Beardos, it's time for us to cancel our shipment of Cough Drop Wrapper 2024 yard signs, so we've got to go. If you'd like to go help us out, make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you can get reminders every Sunday when we release a new episode. We also post frequent updates on all of our social media sites for any additional sundries that we may add to the market.
Also, don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review, somehow shorter than the word beards. Those reviews are what get us found by more listeners like you, and also, if just each one of you could tell a friend about the podcast, that would double our growth. And hey, maybe your friends will leave a voicemail or some user content.
And then you won't feel so obligated. Also, don't forget to us and our and check our socials: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Threads. Check us at beardsandsundries.com. You can go buy merch there at the big button that says buy merch. We have those cups that we got, and I think people got them and love them. Also, email us for user content at beardsandsundries@gmail.com.
Please.
Or fucking text us. Send a voice memo. Do something!
Something. So, from the three of us here at the Beards and Sundries Market, make sure to
Can't get it out. Love yourselves.
Because we all really love. Bye, Zeros.
bye.